Elizabeth is not only an industry legend, she's a nine-time eXpCon Realty icon archer. She has traveled over 7,800 kilometers to be here with us today to share the insights she's gained throughout her 20-year journey of success. I cannot wait to hear what she has to say. And with that, let's welcome to Keynote speaker Elizabeth Riley to the stage.
Elizabeth Riley.
Always been somebody who's been a servant
That gives back
even to everybody around her. A long-time icon. It's really a pleasure to work with her side by side.
She is the definition of agents helping agents.
I've got my Texans in the house. Awesome. Thank y'all for having me here. This is so incredibly amazing for the first international event for eXp. Okay, hold on. Noor. Hold on, let's see. We're going to pivot. Okay. We're good. It's all right. Okay, so I'm so excited to be here from Texas, Austin, Texas, with y'all today. A little bit about me. I know we all like to put our accolades and our successes up on the big screens, and what's always interesting to me is kind of the success, the journey to the success, right? The stumbling blocks, the failures, the ways we got there. It's not just checking a box. So I was asked to come and tell my story today with all of you, my eXp story, and my goal is really to help you write the next chapter of your story as well. And so we're going to talk about 7 key milestones in growth mindset. But before we do that, I'll tell you a little bit about how I got here. I've been in business almost 20 years, 19 years. Got started in Atlanta, Georgia. My husband and I were investors, and my CPA told us, one of you needs to get your real estate license. And I pretended like I didn't hear that. And my husband looked at me and he said, "You're getting your license." I said, "I have no interest in getting my license." And he said, "Well, I have the corporate job, so you're it." So I got my real estate license just more as a hobby, if anything, because I had to, not because I really wanted to. But what I realized quickly is it's all about relationships. And I built my business in Atlanta, Georgia, and I became a top producer at my market center at that time. In 2008, we moved to Austin, Texas, and I started in real estate then, which was a challenging market for the US during that time. But for me, it was all about the opportunity, and people were buying and selling and needed real estate agents, and so why not me? And I became a top producer there in Austin, Texas, and in 2014 was #1 in my office out of 650 agents. During that time, though, I met somebody by the name of Glenn Sanford because of my relationship with my Atlanta agents, and they said, "Would you meet with Glenn?" I said, "Sure." Glenn's company, which is really interesting standing on this stage right now, because I'm looking out at y'all, and I think this is as big as the whole eXp company was in the US and Canada when I joined. So we've talked about opportunity early in. We've heard people talk about opportunity and saying yes to keeping an open mind. And that's why I'm really excited that you are all here, because it's a testament that you are saying yes and keeping an open mind to the opportunities on a global scale. So I want you guys to believe that you can do more than you're currently doing, and I want you to think a little bit bigger. And so how my story can help you write yours and your chapter is what we're going to spend time today on. Okay, so before we get started in growth mindset, by a show of hands, can you tell me, anybody, have you ever failed at anything? Good, I'm in good company then. All right, so I'm going to share with you how to harness some of those failures, how to ensure that those propel you forward, the failures and the successes, and I want you all to have the best 2024, regardless of what that looks like, production, growth, you name it, and all of us coming together to do that. So it's the power of your mind. The answer is to being able to achieve what's up here, right? It's what you're thinking, what you're planning, and then what you do. And my slides are not working with me today, so we're just going with this, y'all. So I'll share some insights of my story along the way. When I came to eXp, we did not have many opportunities like we do now. Okay. We're pivoting here. So what we're going to talk about today, though, is keeping an open mind. And I'd love for you all to keep an open mind during the presentation, our next 25 minutes together, saying yes to the possibility. I said yes to coming to Lisbon, even though it was a little scary. True story, I didn't know I was a keynote. I thought I was teaching a breakout session until Michael said, no, you're the keynote. I'm not kidding. So, so I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do this, and I'm super excited. It's about trusting your gut in that situation. I trusted my gut. The people that believed in me helped me reassure that my instincts were correct. And so I had to just really trust my gut and then figure out, well, what's the worst that could happen, right? In any scenario. So the worst that could have happened is I fail up here, my slides aren't working. But if I fail completely, I mean, I got to come to Portugal for the first time. I got a stamp in my passport, and now I can really say I'm an international speaker, right? So that's the worst that could happen. And I'm going to ask that you go all in with me today, and I'm super excited that we'll once then reflect and review, rinse and repeat, and we'll walk out here a little bit stronger than when we came in. So step one, nope, let's not go to step two. Let's not go there either. This is a bloopers reel, by the way, y'all. So just the real one's coming later. That's tomorrow. All right, going back to my story, it's about keeping an open mind. So growth mindset is all about who you are, what you believe in, what you're going to do with the opportunities in front of you. And so keeping an open mind. Going back to eXp, when I was introduced to the company, we had 400 agents in the company in the US and Canada. People thought we were crazy for what we were doing. Okay, I really was complacent where I was. I was bored, I was uninspired, I was number one, but I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't doing anything bigger. I was just on the same hamster wheel time in and time again. So when my colleagues and my relationships that believed in me said, hey, would you look at something? Are you open-minded? I said, sure. We all want to be open-minded, right? If somebody says, are you open-minded to hearing XYZ? You don't want to say, no, I'm not open-minded. So number one in the growth mindset is always keeping an open mind. You never know what opportunities are going to be put in front of you. And if you say, no, I'm not open-minded, or if you aren't open to listening, think of what you could miss. I would have missed growing an organization with almost 12,000 people. I would have missed a global opportunity to meet all of you people here. I would have missed building my business in ways that I never could imagine. When I came to eXp, I came because I wanted to change my production level. I came because the company that I was at, I got a baseball cap every single year that said capper. And I don't know what they do in Europe, but that doesn't pay my mortgage, and it doesn't pay my bills, and it doesn't put my kids through college. And so when Sanford said, I want to do something different, I want to offer stock awards, I want to offer growth opportunities, I said, why not? So I came over to be in production. I came over because of the Icon program. That was my reason for coming over. I was the first Icon agent ever named. And that first year that I came over, I was number one out of 3,000 agents worldwide. And I was having more fun. My business had changed, and I was inspired again. So for me to come over to eXp was to be it was more about getting back to the basics and falling back in love with the industry that had gotten me there so far. So curiosity and relationships presented the opportunity for me, and so instead of saying no, which is a dead end, I always encourage you to say yes. Number two, step two in a growth mindset. Embrace the possibilities. This is messing me up because I'm seeing the ones ahead of me and I'm like, wait, no, I'm not there yet. So I'm glad y'all don't see this. So the outcomes, both positive and negative. What could be the opportunity? What's the possibility in front of you? For me, I thought, well, this could be really fun. Nobody knew what we were doing. I knew what I was going to be doing if I was still staying in the company I was with, doing the same thing over and over, and where's the growth in that? So embrace the possibilities as you're exploring and you're keeping an open mind. Step 3 is big, and this was really hard for me to really trust my gut for many, many, many years. You have a gut instinct for a reason. And have you ever gone against your gut and then regretted it, saying, I should have trusted my gut? Too many times, right? So some of the best advice you're ever going to receive is by trusting your own gut, trusting your instincts, knowing what's best for you and your family and your business. Nothing else matters. And then you seek wise counsel. For me, with the eXp story, I had a team leader that was at my company that I trusted. He knew who I was. He knew my business. He had been a mentor for many, many, many years. And I said, I need to talk to you. I need to seek wise counsel. I'm trusting my gut. I feel like this is what I need to be doing, but I just don't know if this is the right reason. Can you please reinforce that? Many of you may know him. Some of you might not, but his name is Gene Frederick. So how can you not know Gene, right? Big personality. So I went to Gene not to recruit him to eXp. Right? Again, we were at a company of 400 agents. But I went to Gene because I trusted in his guidance, and I knew that he would tell me what to do, or what I should consider, or how I should look at things that maybe I wasn't seeing the full picture. So once you trust your gut, seek wise counsel. And I say create a board of directors. Surround yourself with people that are going to speak truth. You don't want to be surrounded by yes men or women. We've got all those people. Right? If we need validation or we want somebody to applaud us, just put a filtered picture of social media and you're going to get likes and loves all that you want. But I want to be surrounded by a board of directors that's going to speak truth into me as I'm navigating life. Number 4, worst case scenario. We talked about that a little bit earlier. What's the worst that could happen? I think people tend to think worse is worse than it really is. We can create bigger challenges and bigger fears than what's really in front of us. When I thought about coming to Lisbon, and I'm talking to Michael and Noor, and I was like, oh my gosh, I get in my head sometimes, I think we all do that. But if you take a step back and you're like, what's the worst that can happen? Then you realize it's not as scary or it's not as big as you're making it out to be. And if you're not trusting 1, 2, and 3 to get you to number 4, which is the worst case scenario, you're really not growing. I think people tend to have blind optimism as well, and so I want people to see realistic truth. You can't do that if you're just so tunnel visioned and you're not seeking the counsel from before. With eXp, people told me I was crazy. People told all of us we're crazy. They said, why would you do this? Look at what you've accomplished. I was at a global company. I wasn't worldwide number 1, but I was number 1 in my market center, which was pretty good for me. And they said, well, you're the poster child. Look at all the people that are following you. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? What are your clients going to think? What are your clients going to say? And so then I was like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst that could happen is they'll take me back, right? If I fail, taking a chance on something that could build me, build my business, serve my clients, build my family, that would be amazing if it works. Nobody had ever offered stock before. Nobody had ever done what eXp had done before. Michael talked about it earlier. Leo talks about it all the time. We have a ton of copycats. But all those copycats, for so long, were the ones that were saying, you can't do this, you won't succeed, you're going to fail, right? And then once they saw that we were succeeding, we could do this, we weren't going to fail, they said, oh, this looks kind of fun, we're going to catch a ride and we're going to try this as well. And we're just going to copy and paste what eXp is doing. So for me, I thought, this could be great. And if it doesn't work, the worst that could happen is I'll go back to Keller Williams because they need me, they need my production to pay for the lights and the copy centers and the conference rooms that nobody uses, right? So think about worst case scenario in any situation that you're encountering. And this is in life as well. I talked to my kids are here. My family is here, which is pretty cool. 3 of us got here yesterday. Planes didn't work quite as planned, so 3 of them just literally got here about 20 minutes ago. But I was telling my daughter the other day, in this situation, what's the worst that can happen? So I think it's a really healthy mindset if you're very intentional and you're very aware. Step 5 in a growth mindset, for me, is to decide and then act quickly. What you don't want to do is go through steps 1 through 4, right? Being open-minded, saying yes to possibilities, trusting your gut, exploring the worst case scenario, and then sit down and do nothing. When things work out, you've gone through these check marks, if you will. You have to make a decision and move on it. If I had sat on this, and I've heard so many people say I should have, how many said I should have come to eXp sooner, or I should have done this sooner? Those are people that explored all of those things, but they didn't act on it. You need to take action when you get through those different steps. Once you've committed to being able to accept what's possible, then you need to step into that even more. I need you to lead it, create it, change it, and make it happen. And if you've seen me speak before, I talk about if you're not in the right rooms, move rooms. And if there's not a room to move to, you create it. You create those opportunities. The lady who won Woman of Influence here earlier today, she talked about that. There wasn't an opportunity, there wasn't a group for what they were wanting to do, and now they have 4 or 5 or 6,000 people. Obviously there was a need and they created it. So if you don't find what you're looking for, create it, because there's other people out there looking for the same. And then you have to do the work. You have to believe in it. You have to believe in what you're doing and move forward. Step 6, reflect and review. So this is something I'm still always figuring out. It's constantly in motion, creating a roadmap for myself and helping other people access their growth mindset. It's funny because people always tell me, you've got it all figured out. And I'll tell you, I've got you all fooled if that's what you think, right? It's a constant growth. It's always happening. You don't just have your mindset is growth and now you stop and you're not growing anymore. If you are, then you need to go back to step 1. So rinse and repeat. You want to do this over and over and over. Reflect and review, I'm sorry. You want to stand back and reflect on what you're doing and what you're looking at, and if this makes sense for where you're wanting to go. Then step 7 is rinse and repeat. You want to do this over and over and over in any scenario that you're in. Am I open-minded? Am I saying yes to the possibilities? Am I trusting my gut? Right? Am I evaluating the worst case scenario? Am I deciding and acting fast? You need to do these things. Then you need to reflect and review and adjust. One of our core values is agile. We are agile all the time. We get up here and our slides aren't working and you pivot. You just don't throw down the clicker and say, forget it. This is not going to work for me today, right? So those that believe in you and want you to go further are going to be in your corner and they're going to help you. I have people that trust in me, which many of them right here, and it means the world to me. I'm surrounded by people that want the best for me just as much as I want the best for them. One of my coaches told me, he's like, you have a gift, but it's also one of your crutches. And my gift is seeing what's possible in people. I get really excited when I meet people. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know what you can do? And we could do this, and I get really excited, but sometimes they don't know. They're not on the same path I'm on, or they're not in the same part of the journey that I'm on. And so it gets a little overwhelming and they do nothing. And so that's one of my things that I'm working on too, is seeing what's possible in helping them in their growth mindset, but being able to be a leader in the right way to nurture them so that they can see it themselves. Sometimes you have to believe in yourself or believe in others more than you believe in yourself for you to truly understand what's possible. So I just make this a rinse and repeat. I'm always going through this process. I'm always looking at these options and seeing what I need to adjust and what I need to reflect on. If it hits a period, there's a finish line, right? But in leadership and life and growth mindset, there's no finish line. We keep going again, and we go again, and we go again, and we rinse and repeat, and we continue to grow. So here's a summary of the 7 steps. Pretty simple steps, right? It's not rocket science. But I think sometimes we get in our own way, or we get ready, and we just don't do. And I want to encourage you guys to step back and see, I want to implement this in my life, in my personal life, in my business. Wherever it needs to show up, this is where the growth happens. So, keeping an open mind to opportunities. What are you needing to explore that you're not, that you're afraid of, that you're fearful, that you've been told you're crazy, that you've been told that it's not going to work? What have you been closed-minded to? That could be eXp. I've talked to a lot of people in my eXp days. I've been here 9 years, and I am not in my business, I'm not a cold caller. I'm not knocking on doors. I'm very, very relational. My business is 100% referral. So my attraction is that way as well. I don't want to, I call it eXping on people. Yeah, you don't want to EXP on people. Nobody cares, right? But here's what you can do. You can show them why we're different. You can show them what you're doing in your business that's making a difference, not only to your clients, but also in the industry, right? So I want to show people what we're about. And because of that, I've had a number of people that have wanted to partner with me. They're in production, we're growing together, we're building and we're leading, and then it's cascaded out into, I think I'm in all 24 countries now. And so what is possible is not possible if you say no, right? So say yes to the possibilities and trusting your gut, again, because what feels right most likely is right. But before you move forward and you're looking at worst case scenario, it's because people see worse than what worse is really. And they could be opposed to what they could be seeing as a useful truth, because I think a lot of the world is a little bit more pessimistic than optimistic. So I just want you to decide and act fast, go all in. But here's the thing too, and I have to tell myself this often, you can't go all in all of the time. You can't always be running all in. You're not going to accomplish what you're wanting to do. You're just checking boxes and moving forward. So these are the 7 steps that I reflect on. And it might be my last slide because I do have more slides, but they're not coming up. Okay, well, oh wait, there we are. Oh, there's my family. They're actually in the audience today. They're spread out. So this is really kind of cool and makes me nervous a little bit. But I've got my 10-year-old on the front row because she gets on stages a lot and sings, which I would never do. But I won't tell her that. And I always tell her being nervous is the same thing as being excited. And I want her to always be excited at the opportunities. And so I've got her on the front row as a reminder to myself. But eXp has allowed me to write a really, really meaningful chapter. Maybe a book. Maybe a trilogy. So what I want to invite y'all to do is to work on expanding your growth mindset and expanding your journey and seeing what your best next chapter looks like. And eXp can be a huge part of that. I want to share a little bit about what eXp, this isn't about me, but I love the stories earlier that they shared with what they've done with their family. And I want to share what is possible by saying yes to an opportunity when people said, say no. My husband, who's in the audience, was at corporate for 25 years. And we have 4 children, as you can see. And during COVID, he flew internationally, he worked internationally, so he was always gone. But during COVID, as you know, nobody was traveling internationally, but he was still working in the middle of the night. And Dubai was one of his countries. Yeah, South Africa, all the countries in here, he was talking to y'all in the middle of COVID. But what happened was we walked in one day and we were like, why are you doing this? I said, our family is, COVID's challenging anyway, but why are we doing this? And he said, because we have to. I said, why do we have to? let's look at the steps. I didn't say the steps to him. You know what that would look like if you tell your spouse, let's go through these steps. But I said, what could that look like? I said, why do you have to do this? He said, we have the benefits. I said, well, hold on. eXp has benefits. What could it look like? Let's compare. Are you open-minded to comparing and seeing what that looks like? And he said, sure. And so we did. We compared what eXp had with what his company had, and our benefits with eXp were a better fit for our family than Dell Computer. So after 25 years, I retired my husband. So, right? That was possible because of eXp, because of saying yes to possibility and opportunity so many years ago, and building that and nurturing that and building myself, being around so many people that want to help us all grow and build together, because we're all owners in this company. We're all owners. When one of you wins, we all win. So he was retired 3 years ago in May. It wasn't as a flex, but it was more for him to get back to the basics with our family. He didn't have a relationship with our kids anymore. He was gone all the time. And so what's really cool is now my family can be here with me, and he has a relationship with our kids. So that's, one of the things that saying yes to eXp has allowed me to do. The other thing is I grew up in a family where we had a lot of love to give, we'll put it that way. We had 140 foster children in 20 years. And these were high-risk cases, and I loved what my parents were able to provide for others, but we didn't have anything growing up. And my parents struggled, but they didn't ever let us struggle, or let us know that they struggled, right? So a couple years ago, my parents were in their late 70s, and they're working. Why? Because they have to. That's what society has us do. And I think Europe might be a little bit different, but in the US, you live to work, right? You don't work to live. And one day, we got on a Zoom call, my husband and I did, and my mom wanted to do this passion project. My niece passed away 3 years ago at the age of 5 from cancer. And my mom wanted to do a passion project for the McKinsey House, and she wanted to create this home for single moms and their children to help them have a fresh start. And she was going to pitch us on a donation for McKinsey House. And my husband and I had already talked about it, and what we were able to do was listen to their pitch, and then say, okay, well, we do want to help, but in a different way. Dad, I need you to pull up your Wells Fargo account. And he pulled up his mortgage account, and we had paid it off in full. So when it's not about income anymore, it's about impact. And that impact cascades further than just one person. That impact cascades because of eXp and what the freedom it's allowed us. Because when it's no longer about financial freedom and time freedom because of what you're leveraging here at this company, what can you do for other people in your circle and beyond? So now my mom and my dad, my stepdad, they have their home paid off, and now they can work because they want to, not because they have to, but now they're making a bigger ripple effect because they can work on their passion project because of a decision I made 9 years ago, right? And he pulled up his mortgage account, and we had paid it off in full. So when it's not about income anymore, it's about impact. And that impact cascades further than just one person. That impact cascades because of eXp and what the freedom it's allowed us. Because when it's no longer about financial freedom and time freedom because of what you're leveraging here at this company, what can you do for other people in your circle and beyond? So now my mom and my dad, my stepdad, they have their home paid off, and now they can work because they want to, not because they have to, but now they're making a bigger ripple effect because they can work on their passion project because of a decision I made 9 years ago.